Episode 4, ladies and gentlemen, the Choad Less Traveled. This is getting really weird. It's your boy Icon with some DC TV. And in this episode of Peacemaker, it picks up from the last episode where after Vigilante got tortured, we actually saw a real butterfly come out of this poor dude's face. And very interesting. When they were in the car going back to their, well, I was going to say hideout. When they were going back to their basically hideout, Peacemaker, Hardcore. I don't know why her name was Hardcore. She said to Peacemaker, she was like, "Oh, what happened to the butterfly after, like it blew out of the guy's face?" And then he was just like, "Oh, I shot the butterfly and killed it." And then she was like, "Damn, it would have been nice to get our hands on one, but at least, you got it off the street." And that was very interesting because we find out later that wasn't the case. So then they get back to the hideout. And Murr, the black dude, his name is Murr. Apparently, Murr ends up, he brought Peacemaker into the office, and he was like, "Yo, bro, what's really good because he was like, you were hesitant to take the kill shot because we saw in the last episode when it came time to actually kill the butterflies, Peacemaker wasn't able to pull the trigger because he felt apprehensive about killing the kids." And he even said, he was like, "I know I said that I would kill any man, woman, and child to attain peace." But he was like, "I ain't trying to kill no kids, especially if you're not going to tell me what Project Butterfly is anyway." So then Murr was just like, "Okay." He said, "Listen," he said, "go home, keep an eye out on Vigilante because he actually has to join the team now. And we can't have him out there like running the streets and like spilling the beans." So he was like, "Keep an eye on Vigilante, come back tomorrow, get some rest, and then I'll tell you the whole thing." So Vigilante and Cena, I keep calling him Cena. Vigilante and Chris, Peacemaker, they're in the car. They're having another comical conversation. And, Peacemaker ended up going back to his dad's house because he had to re-up and get some supplies. They had a little conversation about how Adrian Chase, Vigilante was telling him how much of a racist his dad was. And Peacemaker was just like, "Yeah," he was like, "I know the type of person my dad is, but he's still my dad." And he was like, "But I'm not that type of person." He said, "The only thing my dad and I have in common is that, we both want to uphold the law." And he was just like, "Yeah, but your dad's a murdering racist piece of shit." And, so the two of them were leaving the house, like Chris got all his weapons in tow. And then the neighbor ran up on him and he gave him this whole speech about how Batman's a better superhero. He was like, because Batman has Batman has like a rogues gallery of villains. And he was like, "If you're a Peacemaker, if you're a superhero, where's your rogues gallery of villains?" And then Peacemaker comes back. He goes, "You want to know where my villains are? I put them 6 feet fucking under because they don't deserve to leave. They don't deserve to like breathe on these streets." He's like, "Unlike Batman, who's a pussy that puts he said he wrestles with his criminals and puts them in prison just so they can break out of prison and kill more people." And then they got like this whole big thing. And then, like the guy was just like, "I was just trying to make conversation." And I hate when people do that. I hate when people talk shit. And then like assuming that you're not going to do anything about it. And then when you say or do something about it, they're like, "I was just joking, man." It's like, it'd have been funny if he'd have slapped the shit out of that dude. But anyway, and then as Peacemaker was walking away, the neighbor said, he was like, "You're going to end up in prison just like your father." And then that's when Peacemaker was like, "Hold up." Because he didn't know his dad was in jail. And then when he found out that they switched his fingerprints for his dad's, he called the office and then cursed out Murr. And then he was just like, "You're a piece of shit." And he was just like, "Peacemaker," he was like, "Your dad's a bad person. He's going to blow our cover." And he was like, "Screw you, man." He's like, "I'm going to prison to see my dad." And then he hung up on him. Vigilante took him to the prison. And then at that point, Murr told Adebayo, he was like, "Listen, you need to go down there and try to talk him out of it because his dad could blow our entire operation. And Peacemaker, he trusts you." And then she was like, but what about Hardcore? Like he trusts Hardcore. And he was like, "Nah, he wants to bang Hardcore." But he said he actually trusts you because when they had that conversation about who could potentially be a butterfly, she was the only one that Chris said couldn't possibly be a butterfly. And when he said that, I was just like, well, shit, doesn't that mean she is a butterfly now? So Adebayo goes down there, but then, they knew that the dad was a problem and they had to do something about the dad. So what Adebayo did was when she went down there, she spoke to Peacemaker. She tried to talk him off the ledge. And then after she tried to talk him off the ledge, it didn't work. He went inside to go talk to his dad. So then what she ended up doing was she ended up talking to Vigilante since he was there. And she manipulated Vigilante into getting himself arrested just so he can go into the prison and kill Peacemaker's father. So then Peacemaker, he goes talks to his dad. His dad cursed him out and then told him he's a piece of shit. And then, Chris was just like, "Oh, come on, Dad." He was like, "Can you just not squeal and, just like do me that one favor, so I can get my freedom?" He was just like, "First of all, I ain't no rat. But the moment I get out of prison," he's like, "I'm spilling the beans." And he's like, "That's exactly what a rat is." But then, his dad cursed him out and told him to leave. Chase got himself locked up, got himself put in prison. Chase actually ran up on his dad and his goons. And Chase can fight. Like, Chase actually, like, he's a damn good fighter because he cursed out like 3 racist white supremacists, and then he kicked like 3 of their asses. But then Chris's dad didn't want to fight him because he was just like, if I hit you, then I look like the aggressor on camera. And he was like, I'm not that stupid. But you know, the cops came and like took both of them away. And then he goes, and then like Adrian Chase slipped up because he was just like, oh, you're a bad dad. And then at that point, his dad realized that either Peacemaker or Peacemaker's crew was trying to get, you know, trying to set him up to get him killed. And then that's when his dad was just like, oh, get me Detective Cho or Detective Chong or whatever. He was just like, I got some information. And I'm like, now you want to talk to her? Like, we was making chopstick jokes before. It's like, now you want to talk to her? Okay. You know, but you know, but she didn't come in yet. So she'll probably pop up in the next episode to have that conversation with him. And then, you know, after that, then then that's when Murr told Hardcore, he was like, yo, somebody get Adrian Chase out of prison, you know, before he fucks the whole thing up. So the fat white dude, he got him out of prison, and then, you know, he did what he had to do to get him out of prison. Adebayo and Chris were on their way back to the hideout. The white dude had called Adebayo because he was like, yo, Judo Master escaped. So then Chris goes down to the hideout. He fights Judo Master in a parking lot. And then while he was fighting Judo Master was just like, oh, you got it all wrong, man. He was like, butterflies aren't what you think. He's like, a matter of fact, butterflies are actually. And then Adebayo came out of nowhere and shot him in the chest. And then she felt bad because she was like, she never killed anybody before, but he wasn't dead. And then, you know, Chris was just like, well, what was he about to say as far as like the butterflies are concerned? And then she was like, I don't know. So then they sent Judo Master back into the hideout, tied him up. Chris ended up going home, and then that's when we find out he didn't actually kill the butterfly when it popped out of that dude's face in the last episode. He put the butterfly in a jar and he took it home, pulled the butterfly out of his bag, and then he was just in his house with the butterfly in the jar, you know, and the eagle in the jar, and then he was just listening to music and crying because earlier Adebayo had made a comment about, we all know what your dad did to you, you know, when you were a kid. And then he confronted Hardcore about it. And then he was like, oh, do you guys know what's in my file? And then she said, all it is, it has something to do with your brother. Like, your brother died and you and your dad were involved, but nobody knows how. And then we saw a clip of his brother actually dying, and it looked like he was foaming at the mouth, like some foam was coming out of his mouth. So I don't know if he got poisoned by mistake or if his dad meant to kill. It's probably going to be something where the dad poisoned Chris's drink because he wanted to kill Chris because he doesn't like Chris. He actually liked his other son better, but then the older son accidentally ended up drinking the poison and he died instead of Chris. Watch, it's going to be something like that. So then Peacemaker went home, and then after thinking about, you know, what happened to his brother and, you know, the whole situation with his brother, then he was just on the floor, he was crying. You know, Judo Master was locked up again. You know, everybody basically went back to normal. And then, you know, Adrian Chase, Hardcore, went and picked him up out of prison, and then he told her, he was just like, yo, I think I just made things worse. And then after that, Adebayo was doing something because she had a person's badge, and she compared the badge logo to another logo. And I got to go back to the first 3 episodes because I don't remember where I saw that badge and logo the first time. But she said, but she compared both of them, and then when she discovered, so I don't know what she realized something. I don't know what she realized, but then after she realized whatever it is she realized, she called Murr, and then she was like, yo, I think I got something involved in our situation. And then Murr was like, all right, I'll be there in a second. And then that's when Murr picked up a bowl of honey, and a long ass tongue came out of his mouth. Murr's a freaking butterfly, and I'm like, obviously, Judo Master was going to say something along the lines of butterflies aren't bad. They're actually here to help, or, you know, something to that effect. He was obviously going to say something positive about them, you know, so it's really a question of why Amanda Waller wants them hunted down. How do you even become a butterfly? And how did Murr get trapped up in all this as well? Because why would Murr, if Murr's been a butterfly this whole time, why is he on a secret task force that's dedicated to killing butterflies and taking them down, unless Murr is an evil butterfly trying to take down like all the good butterflies, and he's working for what? I don't know. It got real weird real quick, so, but I do want to see what happens. I definitely want to see what happens. And now that I know that Murr's a butterfly, like, I want to see what happens. So that was how the episode ended, and thank you for tuning in. So the show's getting a lot better. The comedy has calmed down, and like I said, I'm enjoying the good series because the fight scenes are done very well. I'm enjoying the good aspects of the show. I'm enjoying the fight scenes. I like the storyline. The only thing that's ruining the show for me is this forced comedy and these long, over-exaggerated, unnecessary comedy sketches. But now that we're up to episode 4, like I said, I've noticed they've started to calm down. Like, this episode was actually pretty serious. It got pretty deep. And the problem now is I'm so used to, like, Peacemaker, the character, I'm so used to him being like a comedic fool. when he is serious, his seriousness makes me laugh now because I'm used to him being a jackass. So, but it was nice to see serious, serious moments in this episode and serious content in this particular episode. Like I said, so hopefully now that we're off to the races, the forced comedy will calm down. We'll get to regular comedy, and then we can actually enjoy the show and get more deep into the character. So like I said, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you think so far. Like, what's your comments as far as like Murray being a butterfly? Like, where do you think this goes? Does Peacemaker have a final showdown with his dad? What goes on with his dad as far as, like the detective is concerned? Adrian Chase and the whole nine. Share your thoughts and we will talk about it. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Like I said, check out my other videos because we got Superman and Lois that's out. We got Batwoman, we got Legends of Tomorrow, and we got Naomi. And at the end of the week, we always got that Peacemaker. And until next time, thanks for tuning in. Let's keep the peace. And until next week, I'm out this bitch.